my screen here and you can hear me loud and clear, please put an M so that I know that you can hear and you can see me. All right, so yes, some response here. So a very good evening to all of you. I know 7 o'clock is probably a dinner time, but it will be great if you can, watch this webinar as a show at the same time, enjoy your dinner with your loved ones and your family. My name is Kaming. I'm currently the head of warrant sales for Malaysia warrants, and today I'm going to talk about the basics of the structured warrants. Of course, first of all, the basic concept of warrants, different type of warrants in the market, and how you make full use of this product to make money from the market. Besides that, knowledge, we always say knowledge is power. So I would like to go through some important warrant terms that might need your attention before going into market. And lastly, some useful warrant tools and warrants information that you can get in the market for free. I think before I jump into the slides itself, just wanted to give a disclaimer. So whatever I covered today will be mainly for education purpose only. And this is not any buy or sell recommendation. So if you need any further advice or recommendation, kindly check with your dealer or your remisier. So before we even start about warrants, just wanted to bring everybody back to the warrants market itself, how it started and how long have the structured warrants been listed in Malaysia. So when it comes to first warrant being listed in Malaysia, basically there's some saying that it started in 2008 or even in 2014. But what you need to know is that structured warrants only pick up momentum starting in about 2016 or 2017. And back then, daily turnover is actually about 4 to 5 million ringgit only. And as you can see on this chart here, the gray color bars are all 2017 data. And as you can see, starting from 2018, we're starting to see like a 3-fold or 5-fold in terms of the turnover increase. And this can be attributed to a few different changes in terms of policy and also because of the market happenings. So in 2018, the Ministry of Finance actually waived the stamp duty for all the structured warrants for 3 years, starting from 2018. So it lasted from 2018 all the way to 2020. So if you have been trading stocks, I'm sure you know what is stamp duty. So this will actually contribute to part of your cost of trading. Without this, it will be cheaper for you to trade warrants. Following year in 2019, we do see very big news on the headlines for most of the months in 2019 with the Hong Kong protests. It lasted about 4 to 5 months, and Hong Kong market did took a very big hit in terms of the Hang Seng index performance, which I will share later. How does the protests in Hong Kong relate to the surge in terms of the structured warrants interest in Malaysia? And lastly, which is something all of us know, is COVID-19 pandemic. So pandemic happened in about February, started in February 2020, and ever since then you can see like we recorded the highest turnover in the history of Malaysia warrants market actually in July last year, mainly because of the surge in the glove price, like Top Glove, Supermax, Hata, all these glove names, the price surged more than 5-fold. So investors actually look up for alternative, and structured warrants back then is their answer. So in terms of warrants, there are 2 main types. So I just wanted to clarify with everyone here. Today, we are talking about structured warrants, only structured warrants. So company warrants is not something that is issued by Macquarie, but I will probably go through the characteristic and also the differences here, so that at least when you trade in the market, you can identify the structured warrants from the company warrants. So first of all, the easiest way for you to identify between these 2 types of warrants will be the stock code. So if you look at the stock short name, the name of the structured warrants are usually CIMB-C or FBM KLCI HDC. So C stands for call and H stands for put, which I will probably touch on later on. But now what you need to know is if you see any warrants with starts with C or H after the dash, those are structured warrants. And of course, the hottest warrants in the market in the past 2 to 3 days, Serba Dynamic WA. So this warrant belongs to the company itself. So that's why we name it the company warrant. And you can identify it by looking for a W after the dash. So they are issued by 2 different entities. For structured warrants, they are issued by third-party financial entity like Macquarie, and of course, there are other investment banks who are issuer of structured warrants as well. But for company warrants, they are issued by the company itself. So I'm using Serba Dynamic warrants as an example. But of course, there are other warrants, like for example, the Green Packet has a company warrant as well. Like D-Sonic has a company warrant as well. So all these different companies, they issue these company warrants in the market in order to raise funds for the company in the future, because these company warrants can be converted into the mother share. So let me repeat here, company warrants can be converted into the mother shares in the future. But for structured warrants, it's mainly for trading only. It's a very short term. As you can see, when you compare the tenor on the 4th row here, the tenor, it's very big difference in terms of the expiry date. So structured warrants expiry date is 6 to 12 months, whereas company warrants can go up to 10 months. Also to take note here, in terms of expiry wise, if you hold a structured warrants until expiry, there is 1%, close to about 1% of the structured warrants in the market you can convert into mother share. So it's not likely. 99% of the structured warrants in the market, they are cash settled. So later on also, stay tuned. I will explain what is cash settlement on expiry and how you can calculate the cash settlement value. And last but not least, something I wanted to highlight here as well is presence of market maker. So by definition itself, a market maker is the person or the entity that control the price of a security. So for structured warrant, we will have a designated market maker for the warrant which is issued by an issuer. So just need to take note this. If company A is the issuer of a particular structured warrants, company A will also be the market maker of that particular structured warrant. So if you are buying a warrant issued by Macquarie, Macquarie will be the market maker. It is our job, our obligation to make sure that the prices of our warrant moves in line with the underlying share or index. And for company warrant, no market maker, demand and supply. So if there's more demand in the market, the warrant might move. So it might not move in the same direction as the mother share. So for example, Serba price can drop, but the Serba WA price can actually go up because the demand and supply for these 2 securities are very different. Why trade warrants? Of course, I mentioned a lot about people have more interest in warrants these days. I think the number 1 reason why investors or even you yourself should consider structured warrants as something that you may want to consider to trade in the future is because of the gearing effect. So because warrants are so cheap, the price usually is about 1 to 2% of the mother share. So for example, if you're talking about CIMB shares is trading about 440, but CIMB warrant can be trading at about 5 cents. So imagine, think about it, a 1 cent movement, in the CIMB shares versus a 1 cent movement in a CIMB warrant, a 5 cent CIMB warrant. Which one will give you a bigger change in terms of percentage? Definitely will be the 5 cents CIMB warrant, because 1 cent divided by 5 cents, it will be 20% gain. But let's say 1 cent divided by 4 ringgit and 40 cents is actually less than 1 cent. So this is the layman explanation about gearing. And later on, I'm going to explain also how you're going to measure gearing. How do you know this gearing of the warrant A is higher or lower than gearing of warrant B? The second reason is also because it's cheap. So the amount of money you need to spend or the amount of money you need to invest in a particular stock is lesser. So to gain the same exposure as to buy 1,000 shares of CIMB, maybe perhaps 1,000 shares of CIMB will cost you about 4,500 ringgit. To gain the same exposure as that position, you might only need to spend 2,000 ringgit on a CIMB warrant, and you will be able to enjoy the same exposure. Also, because the amount of capital you invest is lower, the capital at risk is lower as well, and your cost of trading, it will be relatively lower. Besides that, a lot of investors in Malaysia always tend to look out for something new, something more exciting, something more volatile to trade, especially when Malaysia market is a little bit quiet. So for MACQUARIE, we do offer a range of foreign index products. Like for example, in the market, you might heard of like HSI warrants, the S&P 500 warrants. Those are considered foreign underlying. So with the foreign index warrants listed on Bursa Malaysia, you as an investor now, you do not have to open like a new foreign account in Hong Kong or even in US to trade that particular index. You can do all these trading on Bursa Malaysia during Bursa Malaysia trading hours at the brokerage that you're enjoying right now. So the brokerage that is applicable to warrants is actually same as stocks. So if the brokerage that you are enjoying maybe is 0.5%, then yes, the same 0.5% will apply to the warrants. And last but not least, which is also very important point that I wanted to highlight here is regardless of the market condition, whether it's a bullish market uptrend or it's a downtrend market like back in the month of May, you will still be able to make money from trading warrants. And today I'm going to show you why, the reason why you can actually do so. Yep. Moving on, how structured warrants are named. Early on, I did touch on a little bit on how you differentiate a structured warrants from a company warrant. But now, moving on from that particular slide, we all focus on structured warrants now. So I'm going to drill down and explain step by step how you differentiate one from another one. I think first of all, you need to identify what is the mother share that you're looking at. So if you're interested in D Pharma, perhaps you will search for a D Pharma call or put warrant. So next step, after the dash, it will be either a C or H. So C is a call warrant, H is a put warrant. So you need to be able to differentiate these two, because if you get it wrong, your result will be totally opposite. And last but not least, the series, which can be either A to Z, which means that can be CA, CB, CC, CD. Or either way, it can be C1, C2, C3, C4, C5. All these things, there is no formula to calculate. It's all given by Bursa. So when us issuer, when we list a new structured warrant on Bursa Malaysia, they will give us the code. So that's usually what we take. So we can't actually choose our favorite number. Let's say I like 28. I can't set the warrant as, for example, D Pharma C28. I touched a lot about having to have the ability to identify what is call, what is put. So now we're going to explain a little bit further about call and put. Call warrant should be pretty straightforward. Call warrant is just like, the concept is similar to call option. It gives the holder a right to buy the underlying at a fixed price. This is definition. But if you put it into layman terms, if you are bullish on the stock, if you think the stock will go higher, then probably you want to look at a call warrant. Call warrant move in the same direction as the mother share. So if the mother share goes up, call warrant will also go up. On the opposite end, put warrant is something that you will want to pay attention on when the market is bearish, because put warrant tends to move in opposite direction as the underlying mother share. So the pair, how it works is that if the mother share goes up, put warrant will go down. So it is more ideal if you have identified like a market reversal, like you think it's at the peak, valuation is overly high, you might want to take a short position, but right now you can't short the market. So what you can do is perhaps look at a put warrant. And later on today, I will actually show you how exactly you can use put warrants. And those are classic case study which make sense. And of course, to be honest, if you have any questions on warrants, any questions will do, of course, structured warrants, not company warrant. Please feel free to leave your comment on the Facebook Live comment section below. We will look at it once we are done with the basic slides. So I think it's very important to show you some real life example on how investors or traders can make full use of this particular structured warrant, which is a product available in Bursa Malaysia to make money from technical perspective. So I mean, how to trade uptrend with a call. So I think first of all, you need to be able to have some basic knowledge on technical analysis. So here today, this chart is showing the CIMB candlestick chart, daily candlestick in the past 4 months. And here I have also drawn a trend line, which is in dotted yellow color. So if you can see here on my screen, there is a breakup in terms of the candlestick on the 21st of May. Sorry, on the 12th of May, which is about 3 weeks ago, when the CIMB price is 418. So the question is, how do you trade an uptrend breakout? Okay, let's say if you see a breakout, what will you do as a trader? So the instinct is direct way, buy CIMB straight away. But think about it, buying CIMB now at 4.18 and looking at the potential upside at about 450, probably you will just make a 5-6% on 1 to 2 weeks, which might not be worth the risk. So what you can do as well is to buy a call warrant when you see a breakout. So what happened next was the share price did move in your favor, and on the 1st of June, which is yesterday, the share price touched 4.45, which is the highest level since end of March. Buying call warrant when the stock is trading uptrend is the right move, but of course you need to be able to identify the right call warrant to buy, because not all call warrant will move in the same direction as the other share. So before you buy any warrants, make sure you go to our website, check this correlation chart that we provide for free. And since I'm talking about CIMB, so CIMB C81 is the focus warrant that is issued by Macquarie. As you can see here, the brown color line is actually the movement in CIMB C81 in the past few weeks, whereas blue line is actually the movement of CIMB shares. So as you can see, I wouldn't say it's 100%, but look for something which is about 85 to 90% in terms of the call relationship, because essentially always remember this concept. Call warrant move in the same direction as the underlying. So when you buy a stock which is going up, you will make money from the call warrant as well. So just to show some data, some statistics on this particular trade that we talk about, the breakout trade. So from 12th of May until 1st June, CIMB share price actually went up by 6.5%, which is not too bad. But if you were to trade CIMB C81, which will expire on 17th November, and you basically bought this warrant, assume you bought this warrant at 3.5 cents on 12th of May, and you successfully sell this warrant at 5.5 cents on 1st of June, your potential gain is actually up to 57.1%. But essentially, what traders do is actually sometimes when you buy at 3.5 cents, when it goes to 4.5 cents, making like a 22 to 23% gain is actually good enough. It's much better than buying the mother share itself. So this is just for illustration only, and the multiplied return can be attributed to this thing called the effective gearing. So for this particular CIMB C81, it has a high effective gearing of 8.7 times. And later on today, I will also share what does 8.7 times effective gearing mean. But right now, what you need to know is because of gearing, therefore, as an investor, as a holder of this warrant, you will be able to enjoy the multiplied return. Of course, market is not 100% all the time bullish. So we need to furnish ourselves or prepare ourselves for one day, let's say if market turns bearish or market correction, what you can do as an investor. You can either trade the market, trade the downtrend, or you can use this put warrant as your downside protection. So what happens here is, I will keep it very simple. Same thing, we look at the chart. This chart I'm showing here is actually the Hang Seng Index Futures chart. So what you can do is just draw a simple chart, look for a breakout. So based on the data here, on the 30th of April, we do see a candlestick breakdown of the trend line and close at 28,376 cents. 376 points. So the question is how to trade a market correction. So the direct way is short the market. So, but unfortunately, Malaysia, we can't short. And unless you have a futures account, otherwise you also can't short the market. So the alternative to shorting a market is to buy a put warrant. And there you go. If market goes in your favor, you probably will make money from here. And later on, the next two slides will show you whether do you exactly make money from this particular trade or not. But based on the chart here, we can see the price move lower. And on the 12th of May, the price of HSI futures actually closed at 27,863, which is, I wouldn't say it's too big, but it's about 500 points down. And this is the reason why you should buy a put warrant as an alternative for shorting the market, is because, as you can see here, as the underlying price, which is the HSI futures, as the HSI futures actually drop here, as the HSI futures drop, this particular warrant, sorry, it's a typo here, should be HSI HGR. So this particular put warrant here actually goes higher. So this validates our, no, I wouldn't say assumption, our theory that put warrants will move in the opposite direction as the underlying. Either a share of futures, it will always move in the opposite direction. So if you were to buy a put, make sure the put warrant you buy follow this pattern. Mention about hedging, downside protection. So downside protection can also be known as hedging, which means you want to be able to transfer some risk on your portfolio to another party. So looking at this HSI HGR performance during that period of time of 2 weeks, whereby futures finish 1.8% lower, and if you were to use the put warrant to short the market, your potential gain is 22.1%. So from hedging perspective, how it works is, let's say I assume if you have 10,000 ringgit worth of stocks. So if market is down, most probably your stock will go down as well. I assume that all your stocks are Hong Kong stocks, and all in all, the stock is down 1.8%. So your losses might be about 1,008 ringgit. So how hedging works is, you will use 10% of your portfolio, which is 1,000 ringgit, to buy a put warrant, which is HSI HGR, during that period of time. So during that period of 2 weeks, your 1,000 will become 1,220. So basically, how it works is the gains you make from your put warrant will try their best to cover your losses on the other share. So this is the theory behind it. So just want to make a correction there. For your portfolio, it's actually not down 1,008. Your portfolio is actually only down 180 ringgit, and your put warrant position make you 220 ringgit. So all in all, even though market is bearish, you still make 40 ringgit. So this is how hedging works. So if you would like to find out more, about the hedging mechanism, how it works, put your comments down there. I will share some experience on how other investors or the experienced fund manager, how they use put warrant as a tool to hedge their portfolio when the market is bearish. All right, so I've done covering the basics about warrants. So moving on, I will go into the key warrant terms. And if you have any questions, please put it on the comment section. There are too many terms that I would like to cover during this session, but to be honest, because in the interest of time, I will not be able to cover all. So if to find out more, if you want to learn about all these different terms, what does it mean, how it affect your portfolio, feel free to scan the QR code here. I'll be using a lot of QR codes, so it's easier for you to just scan and go to, and they will bring you to my website rather than you typing and searching one by one. So for today, I'm just going to touch on 5 different warrant terms, which I think is the most important to an investor from trading perspective. It will be number 1, delta. What is delta? Warrant sensitivity, premium, theta, effective gearing. I know that it's quite a lot to absorb during these 45 minutes, but just take it easy. Take it as a learning journey for you before you kickstart your warrants trading journey. First of all, delta, why is it so important? Because delta allows you to know whether this warrant is still good to trade or not. There are certain unwritten rules on delta. Let's say if the delta drop beyond a certain amount, maybe you shouldn't touch it anymore. But before we touch on delta, just wanted to give everybody a basic concept. What is in the money, what is at the money, and what is out of money. And as much as you need to know, this concept about in the money, at the money, out of money, only important if you hold the warrant until expiry. So if you want to know what is at the money, which means the exercise price of a particular warrant is equals to the current share price of the mother share. So assuming that we look at CIMB. So CIMB share price is 4.45 now. This is CIMB price. And if the CIMB warrant has an exercise price of 4.45, therefore this warrant is considered at the money. Most of the warrants in the market are actually at the money or out of money. Of course, out of money takes up about 60% of the population of warrants in Malaysia. And out of money means that this is the mother share price, and the exercise price is actually much higher. So in order for this warrant to have value on expiry, the mother share need to move higher than the exercise price. So that's the definition of out of money. So generally use this as a rule of thumb. So when you select warrant, next time when you buy warrant, make sure you look for this thing called delta. And it is ideal to choose a warrant with a delta between 20 to 75, okay? If it's too high, more than 75 is no good. If it's lower than 20, will not be good as well. And lastly, why we highlighted this, because Macquarie as an issuer, we will usually widen the offer price for these warrants, which is very high or very low delta. Mainly why we do this, because this is not good. This is not a good warrant. So we want to discourage you from buying it by widening the offer price. But if you're holding such a warrant which is high delta or low delta, feel free to sell back to Macquarie, because we always put our fair bid price there in the market to buy back from you. Moving on, warrant sensitivity. Probably if you are a day trader, so if you plan to buy in the morning, sell in the afternoon, or a very short-term trader, like you plan to buy today and sell a few days later, probably you want to focus on this warrant sensitivity, because if you look at definition itself, right, sensitivity determines how fast a warrant will move, how long it takes for the warrant price to move from 5 to 10 cents. Okay, that's the definition of warrant sensitivity. So let's do a quick, I wouldn't say it's quiz, a quick question here. We have 2 Mr. DIY call warrants here, both issued by Macquarie. And which one do you think, which Mr. DIY call warrant do you think is more sensitive in this case? And what should you do, what should you look at in order to determine the sensitivity? So here I have magnified the sensitivity data between these 2 call warrants for you. Mr. DIY CS has a sensitivity of 6.94, whereas Mr. DIY CN has a sensitivity of 2.86. So as far as you know, which one do you think has is more sensitive? You can put your answer on the comment section below, so that I can take a look at it and roughly know whether all of you understand about the concept of sensitivity or not. So I'll give you about 5 seconds to put your answers there. So the answer is actually Mr. DIY CN, and for Norway, which is the one on the right hand side. Why is it so? Because general rule of thumb is the lower is the number of ticks, the more sensitive is the warrant. So just now I mentioned that I actually magnified the sensitivity numbers here. So Mr. DIY CS sensitivity is 6.9 ticks versus Mr. DIY CN 2.8 ticks. So definitely Mr. DIY CN is the answer. And if you are lazy, you just want to know the answer, actually on Macquarie website, we have such a cool symbol for warrants, which is very sensitive. So you can, it's actually here. Let me just draw, note it here. So this is the symbol. Okay, if you see a lightning symbol, it means that this particular warrant is actually very sensitive to price movement in Mr. DIY. And of course, this is not just for Mr. DIY. Any other warrants that you're looking at, if you want sensitive warrant, just look for the lightning logo. Moving on to premium, I think most of the investors, especially new investors, I think most of you will know this word premium because this is the term that most people use when you compare warrants. So I just wanted to explain a little bit more. Is it important and how it will affect your warrant selection. And mainly premium, what does it mean is you just take your break-even price for the warrant minus the current share price. And the formula to calculate break-even price is as follows. So if I can illustrate it in easier, I think graphical method, it will be easier for all of us to understand. So I assume that the break-even price for a particular warrant is 3 ringgit, which means for you not to lose money in a warrant, is the mother share must move to 3 ringgit. And the current mother share is only 260. So what is the premium you are paying for? So the premium is actually 40 cents. So instead of paying 260 or 3 ringgit to actually buy the exposure to a particular stock, you are only paying 40 cents premium to gain exposure to a particular stock. So this is assuming you are the kind of investor you buy and hold on. You buy, hold until expiry, then yes, the higher is the premium, then it's less likely to be in your favor. So usually investors who buy and hold until expiry, they will go for low premium. But in my opinion, if you are trading the market, if you are just looking, you are trading from TA perspective, you're looking for a breakout. So probably premium is not something that you should primarily focus on. Rather, you should focus more on other terms like sensitivity and the effective gearing. So before I touch on effective gearing, theta is something that I want all of you to take note as well, because a lot of investors do not know that warrants have expiry date, and some of them don't even check the expiry date before they buy. So why is it so important for you to check the expiry? Because warrants have expiry date, which means the value contained in the warrant will actually decay. It will slowly drop every day. So how fast it drops, it depends on the expiry of the warrant. So how we define this theta is actually you can look at it as the holding cost of a particular warrant. So if you buy a warrant with 6 months to expiry, holding cost might be lower. So if you buy a warrant with 1 month to expiry, then holding cost is high. Mainly is because of this is how the time decay or the theta works. The time decay will actually, the time value will actually decay at the exponential rate. So it's not like if let's say there's 10 cents, this warrant 10 cents, there's 10 months left to expiry. Every day, every month it will drop 1 cent. Not that case. Exponential means maybe the first month you're holding, you will lose 1 cent. The second month you're holding, you lose 1.5 cents. But if you are holding all the way until the last month you might see a 4 cent decay. So the key point here is warrants with longer expiry tend to experience lower time decay. So if you don't experience a very steep time decay, you don't want the time to decay too fast, what I would advise is that look at warrants with longer time to expiry. So just for a reference, if let's say you are trading, for example, a CIMB call warrant, and banking stock might take some time to really recover until the pre-pandemic level. So you might not want to buy a CIMB warrant which will expire in June or July. So if your trading horizon is about 2 to 3 months, you plan to hold for 2 to 3 months, it will be good if you are looking at a warrant with at least 6 to 7 months to expiry. So that's the general rule of time. Look for an expiry which is double of your holding period. So I hope that helps. And last but not least, I mentioned a lot of times about the effective gearing. And to put it into layman terms, let's assume warrant X has an effective gearing of 10 times. So what does it mean is for every 1% change in a particular stock, that particular warrant will move by 10%. So if it's a call warrant, if this is a call warrant, for every 1% movement up in the mother share, this call warrant will move up by 1%. But if you get your direction wrong, you buy, then the share price drop 2%, then your losses will be 10 times 2%, which is up to 20%. So I would say effective gearing is actually a double-edged sword. So no such thing as when you make big amount, when you lose small amount. So the higher the effective gearing, it means that this particular warrant will move in bigger percentage, which will give you higher profit potential. At the same time, you will be subjected to higher risk as well. So for beginners in warrants, I would suggest that you go ahead with the lower effective gearing first, so that to learn the characteristic of this effective gearing before you go further into your journey, whereby you go for higher effective warrants. So I think generally, if you ask me what will be a low effective gearing, what will be a high effective gearing, I would say high effective gearing is anything between 8 to 15 times. It will be high. And generally for Malaysia stocks, usually it's about 2.5 to 4.5 times effective gearing. Next topic will be the expiry. What do you expect? But I think a lot of investors care too much about expiry date that they forget what is more important. So there is something really more important than expiry date, to be honest, because the last trading date, the last trading day is actually the last day you as an investors can buy or sell this warrant on the exchange. So once you miss this last trading day, you hold until the next day, which is a suspension day, you will no longer be able to buy or sell this warrant, even if you wish to, because it's suspended. So you have to hold until the expiry date of the warrant, which will subject you to a lot of risk, because we will never know what will happen in the next 1-2 days. And generally, the last trading day falls on the second market day prior to the expiry date. So in this example, we assume the expiry date is 30th of the month, which is on a Wednesday, highlighted in yellow here. The last trading day will fall on the 28th, okay? 2 working days. So 29 is actually suspension date, 28 will be the last trading day. So make sure you remember to check on the system. Malacca Securities M+ system, definitely they will show the last trading day. Make sure you put it on your calendar if you are buying a warrant which is close to expiry. But let's say if you buy a warrant which is expired in 6 months, then it's fine. How to calculate the settlement amount for a warrant? This is very important, because I'm aware that a lot of investors, a lot of especially beginners, you do not know that there is an expiry, and by the time you find out, the warrant has already expired. So it's very important for you to find out how you can actually calculate how much you get in return if the warrant expired in the money. So a particular warrant will only have a cash value if the warrant expired in the money. So definition of in the money just now is actually if the exercise price is, let's say, at 2 ringgit, and the mother share is actually at 3 ringgit. So if mother share higher than exercise price on expiry date, this particular warrant will have money, and which we will usually call it in the money. So there's a few ways that you can calculate the settlement level. So here the settlement level, different banks, I would say different this settlement level here, different banks will actually use different calculation. From Macquarie perspective, we will use the second method, which is the average closing price of the underlying share for the 5 market days prior to the expiry date. So if we assume that today is the expiry of a particular warrant, so we will actually use a few dates. We will use 25th of May, 27th of May, 28th of May, 31st of May, and 1st of June. So we will compile the closing price of these 5 days. Then we will average it up and we will use it as our cash settlement price here. And for your information, this formula is only applicable if you are talking about a call warrant. So if you're talking about put warrant, then the other way around, you need to use exercise price minus the settlement price. So for further information on the calculation, all these things, you can always reach out to us or actually put your questions on the comment section. I have also prepared some common FAQ that I receive on the Warrants hotline and email on a daily basis. Is question number 1. Do I need to call the warrant issuer to exercise the warrant upon expiry? So the answer is no, you do not have to call us. The issuer themselves, they will automatically exercise the call or put warrant if the warrant expires in the money, which means that if the warrant has a cash value, then issuer will exercise on your behalf. And a majority of the structured warrants in Malaysia are actually cash settled. So therefore, what we will do is, next question you will ask me, so how do I as an investor receive the cash settlement amount if the warrant expires in the money? Simple. Issuer will make the cash payment to the warrant holder by the way of check or online payment, online transfer. For Macquarie, we still use check. And how long it takes for investors to receive the check? Generally, we will say that investor will be able to receive the check within 7 market days from the expiry date, depending on your location. So our office is actually in KL. So if you are staying in KL, probably you'll receive the next day. But if you are staying in Sarawak or Sabah, then you might take more than 5 days. Probably you receive on the day 6 or day 7. So for any investors who realize that they have not received the check from Macquarie for more than 7 working days, please give us a call on our Warrants hotline and drop us an email to check on the status. And last but not least, I think it's very important to make sure we keep ourselves updated with the latest information in the market before we make any decision, because it helps us to make a more wise decision, which will help us to actually improve our portfolio performance. So I think first of all, in terms of Warrants Portal, I would say malaysiawarrants.com.my, we are actually the most comprehensive in terms of education, in terms of market information, in terms of the tools which is available for investors for free. So to visit our website here, you may scan this QR code here, or you can actually type malaysiawarrants.com.my on your URL. And for the next session after today, I will probably touch more on warrant tools. Do stay tuned and do stay with us until the end of the show to find out, what to expect during the next warrants webinar. And of course, I cover a lot about warrants, but I have not touched much on my company. So Macquarie, we are the leading issuer in Asia, with very active exposure in 5 different markets. I would say Malaysia is not the only market Macquarie issue warrants. We do issue warrants and make market in Thailand, in Singapore, Hong Kong, and also Taiwan. So Hong Kong and Taiwan, they are the number 1 and number 2 biggest warrants market in Malaysia. So and for Malaysia itself, we have been the largest warrant issuer in Malaysia since we came in 2014. And in 2018, we were awarded the number 1 warrant issuer. And we do have top tier market share, in all these different markets. And Our selling point here, how we differentiate ourselves from our competitors, is that we are innovative in terms of our solutions. We always want to bring new products into Malaysia. Of course, we started with normal stocks like CIMB, Maybank, and subsequently we bring in HSI, S&P 500, and hopefully we can bring in more index like Nasdaq warrants into Malaysia market in the future as well. So if you do like Nasdaq warrants, please put it on the comments below, so that I know that there is actually some interest among the investors that attended the meeting today. I mean, if you are actually more like I would say social media person, you like to use Telegram, you have a Telegram account, do join our Telegram channel. Just open your Telegram channel, search for Malaysia Warrants, and if you see the channel with 7.3 thousand followers, that's our channel, that's the official channel. So we are actually the #1 warrant Telegram channel in Malaysia in terms of number of followers, and we do keep our investors updated with the latest news, latest insights. Sometimes we also cover a lot on the foreign news, like what is happening in China, Hong Kong, and US, so that when you want to make decision on investing in the foreign market, you can probably go through and filter the information first. So to ease the process of joining our Telegram, I have also prepared a QR code here. So if you want to join our Telegram channel for free, please scan the QR code here and just join the particular Telegram channel. And if you have any ideas on new things that you would like us to cover, please put it on the comments below. And of course, like, I can't be asking you guys, all of you, to join without showing you some snippet of what we share on Telegram. So of course, first of all, we share about the Malaysia warrants happening, trading ideas. Like for example, 2 weeks ago, something happened. There's some market talks on EMS players. The share price fell and subsequently rebounded. So there's a lot of investors who ask me, coming, is there any good EMS core warrants like VS, like SKP, or even the ATA IMS? So therefore, we put it up on Telegram so that it can benefit more investors. And subsequently, we also share our research report here in terms of the economic standpoint, what we think about the lockdown, and any other measures that we think government will put in to support the economy during these tough 14 days of full MCO. And last but not least, update on the warrants performance. So just 2 days ago, our Pharma Niaga, Pharma CH, their bid price actually went up more than 150%. On the day itself. I think it's on Monday. Yes, it's on Monday when the Pharma Niaga shares actually limit up. If you're active on Facebook as well, please scan the QR code and like our page. I would say that's all I would like to share today. If you have any questions, you can either put it on the comment section below. I will actually go through it one by one, or you can actually call us on our Warrants hotline and email us your inquiry during working hours, of course. All right, so let's look at some question here.
Okay, Carmen, I'm back. Thank you so much. I think that was very good. I also learned something myself. So yeah, we actually have some questions here. So maybe you can look at the comment section, and I'll also look at it, and I'll ask you some of the questions from the audience. But there's one here from Hasley. How to buy warrants? Is it the same as how we buy stocks? Yes, you can just buy warrants on our platform, our MPass online platform. You can just go in it and search for the particular warrants that you want to trade, and then you can just buy the particular warrant that you want. So it is that easy. There's no other special thing that you can do. So that's all that you have to do. And someone also asked about the sales charge. It's same as the brokerage. The brokerage, according to your broker. With us, it is as low as 0.05%. And then there's also the clearing charges from Bursa and the stamp duty fee from the stamp duty fee, which is standard all over. So yeah, that is the that is the answer that I can give to you all. And I think for the others regarding warrants, I think I will give it to Kaming to answer. So the first question is from Ahmad Zaki. Is it Sharia compliant or is it not Sharia compliant?
All right, to answer this question, right now, this product is considered non-Sharia compliant, but we are working very closely with the Sharia compliant consultant and also SC and BERSA to identify why is it non-Sharia, and probably give us some time, maybe 1 year or less than 2 years, and we will try our best to make it non-Sharia so that it is available for our Muslim friends as well. Because company warrants is Sharia compliant, but actually structured warrants right now is non-Sharia compliant. So we will keep everybody updated. So make sure you follow us on our Telegram and our website so that you get updated on all these different news.
Yes, and you can also follow M+ as well. We also update you on that.
Yes, that's right.
Yes. We also have another question from William. If a warrant price drops to a very low level and shows no trade, so there's no volume whatsoever going on, will you consider that is it dead, or should these individuals sell it to recover whatever capital that is left? Like he gave an example, HS Tech C3.
Okay. I think thank you for your question, William. I think first of all, what you need to know is that this particular one, in terms of volume-wise, there's no volume traded in the market. But if you realize on a daily basis, you can still see a buy and sell price in the market because the price is actually provided by MACQUARIE. So that is the fair price that we will buy and we will sell in the market. So if you wish to, perhaps maybe you want to take profit or you want to cut loss, you can always sell back to MACQUARIE. But for HS Tech C3 and C1, what I wanted to point out here is these two warrants has very, very low delta. So if you can recall what I mentioned during the delta slides, once the delta of a warrant drop below 20%, it will not be good. Just a tip for you when it comes to selecting this sort of warrants. Try not to go for warrants which is trading below 5 cents, especially for the HS Tech or HSI, because those warrants are, to be honest, are very low delta once they go below 5 cents. And plus, the warrants are actually not sensitive to market movement. So even if HS Tech rebound 1,000 points, you might not see very big changes in terms of the price movement in the particular call warrant. So I hope I answer your question on this. But if you want further clarification on how you sell, what is the fair price, you can always reach out to us on our hotline.
Thanks. I think that was a good answer. And okay, since we're on this, since someone asked about HS Tech, right? I'm actually thinking, I think HS Tech has been launched quite recently, right? Am I
right? Yes, you're right, Don. Actually, in fact,
yeah, maybe you can let the audience know more about HS Tech.
Yeah, sure. I think HS Tech is, to be honest, the index itself, right, was launched in Hong Kong in July last year. So MACQUARIE brought it to Malaysia in early March. So we do have very good response in the month of March because of the big sell down in the tech stocks in Hong Kong. So a lot of investors came in and buy the core warrant. So what is Hang Seng Tech Index? Of course, I'll just spend about 2 minutes to explain here because we do not have too much time here. I will probably cover more during our next session. But essentially, what is Hang Seng Tech Index? All these Hang Seng Tech Index composed of the top 30 to 50 tech companies listed in Hong Kong. So it includes names like Alibaba, Tencent, Xiaomi, Geely, BYD. So all these big names that you always hear, even like TikTok's competitor Kuaishou is actually listed as a composite stock of Hang Seng Tech. But of course, to really give you a better understanding about Hang Seng Tech, I will probably need another session. So if you're interested in Hang Seng Tech, also please put this type HS Tech on the comments below so that at least we can gauge your level of interest and know what to include on our next Warrants webinar with M+.
Maybe before we reach our next seminar next time, maybe you can give a few sentences, like is it a good time to look at HS tech right now?
Right now, actually, perhaps maybe right now the price has rebounded. To be honest, has rebounded above 8,000, because generally how investors look at Hang Seng Tech Index, 8,000 is a psychological level. So investors will usually come in to perhaps do some bargain hunting or do some long position, buy some call warrant when it's below 8,000. So now it's about 8,003. Maybe not a good time to look at call. You perhaps can look at a put warrant. But at the end of the day, it all depends on the market condition as well as what is happening across the region. How's the COVID situation? But I think all in all, for HS Tech right now, valuation-wise is pretty okay. I'm actually pretty neutral on it. It's not too cheap, not too expensive.
Okay, thanks. So we have another question here from Kildas. What is the difference between sensitivity and momentum?
Oh, this is a very good question. Sensitivity, I did touch on just now as one of the useful warrant terms, but momentum, there's no such warrant terms called momentum. Momentum is a term that you use when it comes to, like, for example, is there any momentum in the stock? Is it a bullish momentum or is it a bearish momentum? So it's a two different things. So you don't compare sensitivity with momentum. Sensitivity is how fast the warrants, this particular warrant, react to the mother share movement. So let's say, for example, Pharma Niaga is up 30% on Monday, right? There are so many warrants in the market. Which warrant moved the most in terms of number of ticks? So one tick is half a cent. So if the warrant moved from 2 cents to 8 cents, in line with the Pharma Niaga limit up, then probably this warrant is pretty sensitive as well. But let's say if the warrant only moves 2 cents for that third limit up movement, then that warrant will not be sensitive. So just now I touched on sensitivity, like how you gauge sensitivity is look at number of ticks. So the lower is the number of ticks, the more sensitive is the warrant. All right.
Thank you for the answer. I think I still take quite a few more. So there's one here about when the structured warrant is expired and it's in the money, do they get a cash settlement?
Yes, of course. If you trade the futures index warrants, like I assume that I think this question is from Desmond.
Futures. Yes, Desmond. Correct.
It's from Desmond. So when the warrant expire and in the money, you will definitely get your cash settlement. And just now I have shared the formula that you can use to calculate. And we will also need to make announcement on Bursa. This warrant has expired in the money. This is the calculation. So once it's done, we will issue a check to you, Desmond. But probably I would think if you still don't receive any check, if the warrant expires in the money, best will be reach out to the issuer. So if the warrant that you're trading is issued by Macquarie, then you can reach out to us. Otherwise, if it's by other issuers, then you need to reach out to the respective issuers.
Okay, while we're on the topic of the check, so Adam here is asking if they sell it before the warrant expiry, will he receive the cash check as well, or can they opt for like an online transfer? I believe it's only by check.
I think for now, to answer your question, if you sell before the expiry, if you sell like 2 days before the last trading day, the settlement will be just like your normal account. The money will go back to your CDS account, so there will not be any check, no online transfer.
I think the right question here would be like if they go for the settlement one, so there's only check. There's no settlement method. There's no online transfer method.
Oh, okay. I get it now. So the question is like, let's say if they opt to hold until expiry and the warrant expired in the money, can they choose to settle it in terms of check or online transfer? So right now we can only do check, but we are working to transition it to online transfer, which make things more convenient and to simplify the whole process, reduce paperwork as well. So that is definitely something we are working on. So we will keep everybody updated once we have the online transfer mechanism in place.
Okay. Then there's another question here from Eiling. She's asking, can you please demo where to get this structured warrants relationship chart.
I can share the chart with you right now. Just a moment. I'm actually sharing. Can you see my browser here?
Yes, yes, we can.
So just go to our Macquarie website, malaysiawarrants.com.my. So once you are on the home page, then you go to the warrant tools, which okay. So this is the toolbar. Go to the top toolbar under warrant tools. Maybe I can zoom in a little bit so that everybody can see. So go to warrant tools, and on the drop down bar, look for the warrant terms. So once you click on warrant terms, then you can check any warrants you want here, including those warrants not issued by Macquarie. So so this is the so-called correlation chart between the mother share and also the warrants that I mentioned earlier. So if we are talking about the CIMB, just now CIMB C81, so you just click CIMB C81, then we will bring you here. So if you want to look at 1 week trend, then yes, this is how it looks like. So as the CIMB shares move higher, the warrant C81 also move in the same direction and also higher. All right, so this is where you can get the correlation chart for free. And so just a recap, if I move too fast, go to Macquarie homepage, Malaysia Warrants, go to the by the top, select warrant tools, look for warrant terms, which is third on the drop down bar here, and there you go. All right.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, just one last question. Actually, this is from myself. At this kind of market, I mean, we have a lockdown, COVID is still going high, there's MCO, you know, all that, and even globally. So should we like look into call? Should we look into put? Is there any specifically any structured warrants that we should be eyeing on?
I think it's more like a thematic play. Nowadays, the sectoral play is very short. Like for example, glove was pretty hot for 1 week in May. And subsequently, it came down, and last week is all about vaccination play. So I mean, be informative about market. So let's say if vaccination is in play, then probably you want to look for call warrants on the vaccination stock like Pharmaniaga, D Pharma. So you know, and let's say, imagine if next week banking stocks is actually in play, in focus, everybody talking about banking stocks, share price move higher, then probably you want to look at call warrants over the banking stock. But I would think that because now is MCO, will be better for investors to be more conservative, like, you know, take a look and see approach. And because essentially I don't think any movement in the next 2 to 3 weeks will be long term, probably will just be you know, big spike and subsequently pull back. But something that I want to highlight here is the usage of put warrant. So put warrant is always available in the market. So in case if COVID cases worsen in the next 3 weeks or so, maybe hit 10K, we will never know. And we have lengthened lockdown more than 2 weeks. Probably you want to look at a KLCI put warrant.
Okay, thanks. Great. I think that's all the question that we have for today. So yeah, I think we have a few more, to the audiences, we have a few more sessions coming up with Macquarie. And if you guys agree that we should do more, please type yes in the comment section below. So yeah, I'll give this honor to you, coming to introduce on this upcoming session.
Yep. So this is actually it's not just a one-off webinar today. We are planning for something more so that we can benefit our investors. So we have planned another session end of this month, 30th of June, same time, 7 p.m. But I would say today is considered basic. So the second session will be more like intermediate, whereby I will actually explain a little bit more about the products that we have. We mentioned a lot about index warrants, but today you don't see me talking much. So next session, I will focus a lot more on the index warrants. Maybe I can put it down here for everybody. So next session, I'll be talking about index warrants. That's the number one. Number two, I'm also going to go through the available warrant tools on our website, which include the live matrix and also our new warrant heat map. So this will be the two main tools that will cover. But let's say if before the webinar you have any other tools that you want us to touch on, we can probably go through as well. I think of all, I wanted to basically brief investors about the effect of corporate actions on warrants. So like assuming, let's say something like Top Glove had a bonus issue back then, and what are the changes in terms of do you as an investor, as a holder of Top Glove warrants, do you get more bonus warrants? That's the kind of questions that I will address you. And of course, last but not least, I will probably introduce more about the hashtag that Dawn actually asked about. So of course, topics are not 100% fixed yet. So if you have any suggestion, you want me to talk about certain topics, I'm happy to do it. So just make sure you put it on the comments below so that, me and Dawn and the Malacca Securities team, we will be able to pick it up and put it into our next session. All right.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for joining us again, Coming, and thank you to the audiences as well. So do remember to join our next session on the 30th of June, 7 p.m. Do remember to mark your calendars. So yeah, Kamen will be explaining more than today about structured warrants. So we're ending here now today. Thank you for your time. Kamen, any last words?
Thank you, everyone. Can't wait to share more. To be honest, there's a lot to learn about warrants. Take this as a beginner basic session, and we will see each other again end of this month. All right. At the meantime, everybody please stay safe. All right.
Yep. Stay safe. Stay at home, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.